Hi, my name is Whitney Gibson. I'm the head of Voorhees Internet Crisis Management and Defamation Group here at Voorhees in Cincinnati, Ohio. And we have with us today Melissa Agnes. She's an online and social media crisis management specialist. And we also have Chris Anderson, who's a co-owner of Cyber Investigation Services and helps people all over the world deal with various online issues and online crisis issues and defamation, and also helps a lot of businesses deal with attacks online and protecting their own brand equity. And we wanted to bring everyone together today to discuss what we are seeing on a much more prevalent basis out there, and that is the issue of competitors using the internet to try and damage the competition to prove their own position in whichever market that they're currently operating in. And I've even seen, just as an attorney practicing in this area, some recent cases of courts that have come down really hard against competitors for going out on the internet and doing things that are illegally. And one particular area that we're seeing is in the area of false reviews. And it has become very important for companies, the online reviews, for example, on Yelp or on the various hotel site reviews. The reviews have become very important to their business, and what that has led to is what we're seeing is a lot of companies out there that are doing false reviews to try and improve their position. And there's a recent case that has come out where a court found that constituted false advertising. And so, I think it's something that people want to be aware of. But Chris, before I talk too much more about it, I know, you've done a lot of studying on kind of the existence of false reviews out there. And so maybe I thought you could just talk a little bit about what you know in that area.
Sure. Yeah, there's actually, unfortunately, there's a lot of ways that competitors play dirty out on the internet. And so one of the ways that you're referring to is putting in false reviews, positive reviews about themselves. And so, for example, Cornell and one of its doctoral students has done a bunch of work in this, and they've built a little online detector of false positive reviews, especially as it applies to the hotel industry. And in short is what they've come to the conclusion is that about 5% of the reviews that are online today, positive reviews, are fake. And which, usually 5%, you think, well, that's not a terrible number, but that is a huge number of reviews. So it's pretty much accepted practice in a number of different industries, and people feel like they've got to do it to survive. But while we're there is because competitor issues, I mean, they're broad on the internet. Just mention a couple other things. Is one, we see an awful lot. I have 3 cases on my desk right now that we're working where we have a competitor attack where they're posting false negative reviews on the competitor site. And that's a big deal. And then we also have something that's going on right now that's very scary. And actually, Matt Cutts at Google just spoke about it a few days ago. And that is what's called negative SEO, where you're going in and you're intentionally bombing your competitors' websites to knock them out of the search engines or knock them lower. So yeah, the short story is there's some real nasty stuff going on out there.
Yeah, and from the legal side, I couldn't emphasize more that the courts are really coming down hard on companies when they are doing false, misleading, deceptive things on the internet. And so I would really advise companies to make sure that your employees know that while you want to try and earn as many positive reviews as you can, if you are retain anybody to post positive reviews for yourself, or do anything that's that's kind of in a misleading manner gives you better reviews than you're actually earning, then you really open yourself up to liability. And so I think you got to be very careful of that. And I also think that if you think your competitor is doing it, there's a very strong remedy. There's a statute called the Lanham Act, and under there you can, if you find that your competitor is giving false reviews, if the court finds that it's willful, which if they're doing an intentional false review, I think there's a strong likelihood a court will find it's willful, then you can get your attorney's fees recovered under the Lanham Act. You can, in some cases, disgorge any profits that they earned during that period. And so, in addition to just normal defamation claims, there are some strong federal statutes that courts have found applicable to situations where someone's doing false reviews. And I think you're going to see, frankly, some businesses that are going to get in big trouble and sued for posting false reviews. Melissa, I know, as a kind of a crisis management specialist,
Wow.
there's certain things that you can do to help businesses just compete online. I always would like you to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I do, I want to actually I have a question for you, Whitney. But before
Yeah.
I ask you that, besides from the legal repercussions of posting, and let's just say positive false reviews for the moment, there's also the risk. The non-legal risk. So there's the court of law, and then there's the court of public opinion, which is something I talk about often with clients. And if you're caught by your market, by your audience, by your customers and followers and fans and prospective customers, writing false positive reviews, you lose all credibility. You're no longer seen as being transparent. You lose. So not only is there legal ramifications that come with it, but there are some serious brand damaging, reputation damaging repercussions for doing something like that when it's so easy to get non-false positive reviews.
Right.
I mean, start with positive customer service, strong customer service, and encourage your happy clients to write reviews. Give them incentives for doing that. So there's no need to invest time and energy and resources into these things that go against all of the crisis communications and just the marketing communication rules of today when it comes to online. So, but I do have a question, Whitney, for you, talking about the different state or different federal laws. Actually, well, that's my question. Do they go state by state, or are they across the board in the U.S.?
The federal law, the Lanham Act, applies all over the United States.
Okay.
So that's not a state-by-state situation. I mean, the nice thing about it, the statute of limitations is typically 3 years or 6 years. It's longer than defamation, but it's it provides some I wouldn't call them penalties, but it provides some definite more teeth than just a normal defamation claim. So businesses that are either the subject of false reviews or their competitor is doing false reviews, I think they have a much better tool than in a normal defamation case because they have the Lanham Act and they have provisions where they can get attorney's fees and they can get disgorgement of profits. And so a lot of times I've found that it's a worthwhile lawsuit for companies to bring against people that are doing positive reviews.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, and another thing that I think that really gets people in trouble and companies in trouble is some of the review sites, like on the negative review sites. If you post up there, you can't, even if you're the one that posted it, you can't get it down.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
You have to. It is possible, but even I've seen cases where they get half of them down, but the worst of them are still there, and you just can't. So it's near impossible to.
Well, and there's some places like Ripoff Report where it's not coming down.
That's
period.
it. And a lot of the places, I know this happens a lot to doctors, especially in the U.S. I've had a few clients, that experience this, and there's some, MD review sites that there's not even a contact form. You're not getting in touch with the people responsible for this site, never mind taking it down. So.
Right. Yeah, and sometimes for the defendant, the person who posted it, if they're caught doing it, it's frustrating to them because they want to get it down because they don't want it to keep damaging the plaintiff because they know they got to pay for it.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, it keeps damaging them, and now they're on the hook for a very substantial amount of damages, and there's really no getting out of the claim when you get caught posting a false review. And so
And that goes both ways. False positive for yourself and false
That's
negative
right.
on competitors or others.
Yeah. I mean, it was significant that the courts have found that they just said doing false reviews, whether positive for yourself or negative for others, is a form of false advertising. And that's
Absolutely.
what opened up the, I think the courts are recognizing just how significant that is in advertising. Now, one of the things I think people always ask is, how do can you find the identity of a person that is posting a false review if it's anonymous? And I know, Chris, that Cyber Investigation Services, you guys help a lot of clients in those type of situations. Can you just talk a little bit about how you can work with companies and lawyers to help in that regard?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, what we find is in a decent percentage of the cases, you can ascertain the identity right up front without subpoenas or going down that path. But then on the other side is what a lot of people don't understand is that every single place that you go on the internet that you leave a footprint, and you leave things like IP addresses, and you leave things like registration emails, and even though those emails may be Daffy Duck, there's some interesting ways to run down who are the owners of those. And so, I mean, and I know you and I, Whitney, kind of experienced is that, especially when subpoenas get involved, is unless somebody is super sophisticated, is we're going to catch them. We're going to catch them somewhere in the process, and because they all make mistakes. And I don't know about you, but with the attorneys that we support across the country, is I think we see roughly about a 95% catch rate. And this is even when you have people that are somewhat sophisticated. And so, first thing I'd tell people is if you're considering doing this against a competitor, please don't. You're going to cause a world of hurt to yourself. But also is I would tell you that if you're a victim of this, is you ought to talk to one of us, because there's a lot of ways to get behind and resolve these kinds of situations. You're not helpless, which is unfortunately kind of the common view out there.
Yeah, and I'll echo that. I mean, so I get certain areas or online problems that clients are having, and you may not be able to help them, but this is one of those areas where the law provides a lot of assistance and provides a nice avenue for companies to be able to make it worth their while to go after competitors who are stopping this. So, which I think is a good thing.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I think that we all just want to get out there and really make clear that companies really need to be aware and make sure that their employees are not submitting online reviews. They're not paying anybody to submit, or not submitting online false reviews. They're not paying anybody to submit online false reviews. And that if you feel like you're being a victim because a competitor is posting false reviews about you or false positive reviews about themselves, there's a remedy, and give one of us a call, and we'll be happy to help you out.
Absolutely. You can find out all of our contact information below this video, no matter where you're looking at it from.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a great day. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.